MacBook Neo or MacBook Air? Let's sort this out. We're living in such interesting times. This is the M5 MacBook Air. This is the MacBook Neo. These are brand new laptops, but this is arguably newer than this because this didn't exist at all a couple of weeks ago. There's an awful lot of discussion generated by the Neo online and in the comment sections of the videos that I've made about this laptop already. There's two buckets of people. One bucket, which is the biggest one, are the people who get this Neo. They understand why it exists, who it's for, who it's not for, and they just understand it. The other group of people who are definitely in the minority, they've gone through the barrel, they've gone through the earth beneath the barrel, they're digging and digging and digging all the way down to the earth's core to find reasons that you shouldn't buy this. The lack of a backlit keyboard, the 8 gig of unified memory, the A18 Pro chip which comes from the iPhone. They are really doing their best to put people off buying this. That's not fair. A lot of it is utter rubbish. We do need to explore some of it, but I understand if you're struggling to pick between the Air and the Neo. And this video will help you do that. Or if you're one of those people who's still digging, you can carry on digging down in the comments. I don't care. Let's get into this comparison. Right, there are a lot of differences between these two laptops, and rather than sit here and just reel them off, here is a table which explains every key difference between the MacBook Neo and the MacBook Air. Pause the video, take a screenshot, do whatever you need to do, save the video, do whatever you want to do just to get that somewhere that you can reference later on. But I'm going to pick out 5 key differences that you need to know between these two laptops, and that will help you pick the right one. Number 1 is the performance ceiling, and we can keep this quite straightforward. The MacBook Neo has the A18 Pro chip. It has 8 gig of unified memory, you can't change that, and either 256 or 512 gig of storage. The MacBook Air has the M5 chip, 16 gig of unified memory and 512 gig of storage, and you can increase both the unified memory and the storage in the MacBook Air. That means these are two very different laptops, and explaining the difference is very straightforward. The MacBook Neo is the entry-level MacBook that can do a little bit more than you expect. And what I mean by that is that it will smash, obviously, email, web browsing, taking calls on Teams, fairly basic gaming, normal computery stuff. This thing will eat up without any trouble whatsoever. So if that's all you do, just get this. But if you fancy delving into, Final Cut Pro and doing some 4K video editing, or trying out Logic Pro and doing some music production, or perhaps getting into Xcode and doing some coding and that sort of stuff, you'll be surprised by how far you can go with this. You'll just hit the ceiling a bit quicker than you will on the MacBook Air. It's as simple as that. The MacBook Air has a much more powerful chip. The M5 versus the A18 Pro, it's quite significant in terms of multi-core performance, and that means if you get really into those things, into music production, video editing, development, etc., then this one is going to do you better in the long run. But bear in mind, you've got an upgrade path here. If you're just starting out, you can go from this to this. If you're already in that space where you need a bit more power, just get this. And the 8 gig of unified memory thing does not matter if everything I've just said about the MacBook Neo relates to you. Just buy this, but keep watching this video. Number 2 is the port situation, which might be important for you. So on the MacBook Air, we have MagSafe for charging and 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. The great thing about this setup means that you can charge it and still have access to those 2 ports, and it can drive 2 external monitors with the lid open. And Thunderbolt 4 is nice and fast. Fantastic. The MacBook Neo is a completely different kettle of fish. It doesn't have MagSafe, so if you want to charge it, you have to use one of the USB-C ports, and these ports are slower than the ports you get on the MacBook Air. So it's USB-C 2 and USB-C 3, and you can only drive 1 external monitor with the lid open with the MacBook Neo. I can't tell you which one of those things is more important to you, obviously, but I will say I've been using the USB-C 3 and USB-C 2 port on the MacBook Neo for the last few days, transferring files from these cameras, and it's fine. Yes, it's a bit slower than the MacBook Air, but not by an amount that kind of makes you think I need a MacBook Air. I think the most important thing is if you need 2 external monitors, you have to get this. If you don't like the idea of having to take up a port to charge your laptop, then the Neo is going to not work for you, basically. But again, if you fell into that category of people who will just use the Neo for what it is, you won't be thinking about this. And if you are thinking about it, Number 3 is the difference in display technology. So the MacBook Air has a slightly bigger display, as you can see there. They're both the same brightness, 500 nits. However, the MacBook Air supports P3 color. If that means something to you, and it's important, the Neo, just so you know, supports sRGB, and that's it. If that means nothing to you, but you're still tempted by this, don't worry. The MacBook Air also has True Tone, where it adjusts the white balance to mimic the ambience of the room that you're in, so whites look more white, kind of. I don't tend to have it on anyway, so I don't notice it, but you don't get that on the Neo. Again, if True Tone matters to you, if you don't care, that's it in terms of displays. They both look beautiful. Oh, and this has a notch. This doesn't have a notch. If the notch bothers you. Number 4, hang on. Let me just turn off all of the studio lights.
Okay.
There we go. Right. As you can see, just about. Can you see? I don't know. The MacBook Air has a backlit keyboard. The MacBook Neo doesn't. That's the difference. If I hold them both up now, that's the difference.
Okay.
Not the best example, but where do we start with this? I don't want to drag this out because we don't need to. Basically, if you have a working environment or wherever you use your laptop, if it's really dark and you need to see the keyboard and you can't touch type, you have to look at the keys, then just get the MacBook Air. If none of that matters and you're a good touch typist, or you've never even thought about the fact that the keys in front of you aren't backlit, just get the Neo. Hopefully that settles it. Number 5, the trackpad. So the trackpad on the MacBook Air is haptic, which means it doesn't physically click down. It's very clever. It's this mesmerizing technology that Apple introduced a few years ago, which does away with any kind of mechanical thing on the trackpad, and it makes it just feel like it's clicking. It's very precise. It doesn't need much of a click to do it. It's amazing. The trackpad on the Neo is mechanical. It's not haptic. So you have to push it just a little bit harder. It sounds a bit different as well. It's a bit more... It's a little bit louder. The trackpad is smaller on the Neo as well. Does it make a difference? Not really. The trackpad on the MacBook Air just feels a little bit more advanced and maybe a little bit more accurate, and you just don't have to press it quite as much as you do on the Neo. Is it even a point of differentiation? I don't know, but if you need a bigger trackpad, get the MacBook Air. If you don't care... Okay, I said if you don't care, go for the Neo in a few instances in this video, and that doesn't mean that this is a laptop for people who don't care. My point is, I think, if you need the Neo. If the $599, or if you're an education discount person, $499 Neo is enough for you, and equally, if you need this. The differences between the two, although they're quite intricate, and by all means go back to that massive table of differences at the start if you want to, when you strip it down, they're for very defined audiences, and that is what I love about the MacBook lineup now. So we have entry level that can do a bit more than you expect. Then we have the fantastic mid-range prosumer. I hate that phrase, but kind of illustrates what the MacBook Air is all about. That is what this is. And then you have the Pro, you have the MacBook Pro. If what you do and how fast you do it is linked to you earning money quicker, then get the MacBook Pro. These two are the two best laptops that Apple makes. I love the MacBook Pro, but that is a different animal completely. These are just wonderful, and I love the fact there is such a clear line between them. And hopefully you've seen that in this video. Now I've noted down 5 reasons to buy each, just to get you thinking. So 5 reasons to buy the MacBook Neo. Firstly, that unbeatable price, $499 if you're a student, $599. It's the kind of, if you forget about inflation, it's the cheapest MacBook Apple has ever made, and it gets you into the macOS ecosystem at the lowest possible price. It has iPad efficiency. That A18 Pro chip is wonderful in this laptop. It's got a joyful typing experience. I've not even talked about that, but the typing is lovely. It's great on the MacBook Air as well, but there's something about the typing experience on the MacBook Neo which is fantastic. It's got fun colors. You can get the indigo version here. There's a lovely pink color. There's a citrus one if you really want to go all out. You don't get that with the MacBook Air, so that's another point of differentiation. If you want a really funky MacBook, get the Neo. And pure portability, it has this slingability factor. It's just such a nice thing to carry around. This is as well to a degree, but this takes it to another level. And just to be fair, 5 reasons that you should buy the MacBook Air. Number 1, creative power. The M5 chip in this is insane. And it starts with 16 gig of unified memory. You can take that up to 32 if you want to. It's capable of so much. Number 2, the connectivity. Thunderbolt 4, 2 external monitors. That is a big deal for a lot of people. Number 3, it has a superior display. It does have the P3 color. It does have True Tone. And if those things are important, get this. Next up, better speakers, better mic, better FaceTime camera. If those things are really important, then the MacBook Air might be the one to go for. And then it has a backlit keyboard. And again, if that is very important based on the environment you work in, it's the one to get. Was that 5? Who cares? Guys, it's over to you. Let me know in the comments which of these 2 you're going for and why. I'll see you down there, and if you haven't hit subscribe yet, you know what to do. What a wonderful time to buy a MacBook.